Hey there, Will here with the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 4s again. These are my favorite earbuds. I've tested a lot, and I actually had reason and opportunity to test a couple other pairs recently because these broke. This is my second pair. One of the earbuds just failed. It wasn't getting sound at all, and so I had to send it back to Sennheiser. It took about a week and a half, which is a really good turnaround, I think. But in that week and a half, I didn't want to be without music. I didn't want to be without earbuds. So I went and I tested two other pairs that I'd heard and read a lot about. The first one was the Denon Pearl Pros. The other one was the Technics AZ100s. And I tried both out with the intention that if I liked one, I was going to sell the repaired / new True Wireless 4s when I got them. I didn't. I still have these. But I was really, really tempted by the Technics AZ100. And I want to talk about why. Because I see a lot of YouTube channels like basically doing A/B testing, giving you sound samples, all this kind of stuff. I don't know how useful that is, especially because if you put the Sony XM5s next to the Beyerdynamics, next to the AirPods Pro, and you play a sound sample through them, you're going to hear them through whatever you're listening to. So if I listen to those through headphones or those sound samples, I'm listening to those sound samples through the Sennheisers. So I don't quite understand what use that is. But I will say that there are a couple differences, especially in terms of the sonic signature. And I think that's actually kind of borne out with one of the comments I've read about the Technics. So the first one is that the Sennheisers, along with the Denons and the Beoplay E10s, have a really interesting imaging factor. The Sonys, the Technics, Beyerdynamic, they all sound like they're right up here, which makes sense because you're wearing earbuds. Like the music is being beamed right into your ear holes. So they have great detail, great clarity. The Technics especially had really, really good clarity and very good instrument separation. I've heard the term layering. Basically, they're just really detailed, but they're still right here. Whereas the Denons, the Beoplays, these especially, they sound more immersive. They sound like you're among the music. And I don't mean that in a sense of like the spatial audio gimmick thing I've seen where, either the music sounds like it's coming from right in front of you, so when you turn your head, it has a different sound. Or the one that kind of like seems like it fades everything into the background. This feels like you're in the room with the music, and I really like that. There's a sense not just of the clarity and separation among the instruments, but that the instruments are literally occupying space among you, which I think is a really great feature. It's a really interesting sonic like signature. The other thing is a tactility, I'm going to call it. Basically, I've read that the Techniques, I've read reviewers or seen reviewers' videos say that when they listen to the Techniques, it kind of equalizes the guitar. And I didn't quite get what that meant, but it was specifically mentioned in reference to heavy metal music, which I'll be honest, I don't really listen to that much. I think the closest I listen would be Metallica, and I know a lot of people would not consider Metallica like heavy metal. So neither here nor there, but they mentioned it specifically with like distorted guitars, and I listen to a lot of distorted guitars. One of my favorite artists is a woman named Emily Wolfe, and she's kind of a blues rock guitarist who loves like distortion pedals and like guitar effects and all these kinds of things. And I love a crunch of a guitar. Like I listen to rock music a lot. I'm in the Van Halen, Matchbox 20, like that kind of thing, and I love hearing like kind of like I said, the crunch of a guitar, like that there's a tactility to it. I also notice it when I listen to like classical and or instrumental music. It's going to sound weird too, especially with a wind instrument like a flute. It's like you can hear the breath through the instrument itself, right? Which has a certain tangibility to it. Like it's almost like a feeling of the music. And I think that's what people who kind of, I'm going to say, denigrate the AZ100s, when they say they're not getting distortion of the guitars. I think that's what they mean, because there is this thing where the music is so close in terms of a signature that like the actual tactility of them isn't there. And when I say tactility, I mean like literally like feeling like fingers on a fretboard, or you know, on a piano. Like you can kind of sometimes hear either the thump of the hammer on the strings or the thump of like somebody hitting a pedal, right? These do that, and the Denons do as well. And that's kind of what I mean with like the space thing too, because that's, I think, part of that immersive experience. The Technics came really close to usurping these as my favorites. They're smaller. This is a larger case. I'm going to say a larger case because it's not that bulky. This is not a big case. It's a good battery life. It's almost 8 hours I get out of these. And the app is fantastic, especially after you implement the personalized sound. The Technics are really close. They're smaller than these. I mean, basically, the Technics are about this size without the lid, and I want to say they get about 12 hours per charge or something like that, and that's with ANC on. The ANC is really, really good with the Technics. I actually had occasion to use them on a couple of Zoom calls, which I don't normally do, and they sounded great there. So yeah, they were really close to being like, I'm going to keep these and sell the Sennheisers. But then I got the Sennheisers back and I did the personalization again, and I listened to some of the music that I love. And that's what I noticed, that like, as good as the Technics are, and they are really good, I think part of the detail is because they use a new, it's a ferromagnetic like liquid that like basically smooths the driver. It sounds like, I don't know what it does to the driver, but that's what it uses. And there's just this frequency response that's spectacular. So they sound really, really good. Like they do have detail. They've got a really nice noticeable punch to the bass. These, the immersion is different for these. These I feel like I'm in the room with it, and that, like I said, I prioritize sound quality. I want to listen to my favorite music the best way I can and the way I prefer. And I think the personalized signature also has an impact there, because the Technics does not have a personalization mode. You can tweak the EQ, but as you've probably discovered from how I talk about these things, I'm not an audiophile. I'm not an audio engineer. I don't know frequency responses. I don't know what the Harman curve is. I mean, I know kind of like intellectually what it is and everything, but I don't know where to put, you know, the 7 frequency in terms of like a slider and stuff. I don't understand those things. I don't know them. And so what I like about these, especially with their personalization, is that it plays music for me, and I listen to which of those sounds I prefer the most. And the Technics do have really good equalizer settings. I have to give them that. There's like a dynamic one. I tended to listen to the dynamic one, which kind of gives it a V-shaped curve, whatever, like, which basically means that the bass and the treble are higher, and the mid is kind of, you know, mid, it's lower. So yeah, I admit I don't understand any of those things, but I do understand that when I've heard a bunch of other earbuds and even headphones, the true wireless 4s are the ones I continue to come back to. But yeah, these are fantastic. So if you get them, I hope you enjoy them. Leave a comment below if you're enjoying them, and like and subscribe. I promise I'll start doing more videos, because I've got a lot of more things to talk about now. So good stuff. But yeah, if you get them, enjoy them.